On this episode of Open Forum, we'll examine how the simple task of shopping is an everyday battle. People who shop till they drop and run their credit cards up to the limit often have a shopping addiction. Addiction is defined as a psychological or physical dependence on a substance, and for a portion of the society, shopping is that substance. Just like alcohol or drugs, this addiction can ruin lives. On today's show, learn about this disorder and how it might directly affect you. Hello, welcome to Open Forum. I'm your host, Karen Adams. Shopping is something we all do. We shop out of necessity and sometimes not. But when it gets out of control, it can lead to social, psychological, and financial problems. On today's episode, we're going to examine compulsive shopping. Join us as we explore this addiction.
Addiction is often thought of in terms of gambling, alcohol, or drugs. What about an addiction to shopping? Currently, 15 million Americans suffer from compulsive shopping, an obsession with shopping that significantly interferes with the functioning of the individual. What may seem like a simple task to many is an everyday struggle for millions. As one addict stated, the store was the drug and shopping was the high. Just like any other addiction, the search for that high often affects the people closest to the addict. Mothers have left their children at home alone to go shop. Fathers have emptied bank accounts to purchase memorabilia. This addiction doesn't discriminate by age, race, or gender. April Benson, the founder of Stopping Overshopping, has been involved with compulsive shopping for almost a decade, and as she explains it, there has been very little progress in trying to understand this addiction.
We have compulsive buyers in history, Mary Todd Lincoln, George Washington even. It wasn't in the psychiatric literature until the early 1900s, and then it wasn't until the late 80s that research started to be done in the field of compulsive buying.
As we just saw, compulsive shopping affects 15 million Americans. But really, what is this affliction that drives millions of people to shop excessively, some to near financial ruin? To help explain this disorder is Diane Lang. She is a therapist, career counselor, and a life coach. But first, let's take a look at this video which describes compulsive shopping.
Great. You know, this is a national and increasingly international problem. You know, it's not just a problem of the rich. People on welfare are compulsive buyers. It's a social and a psychological issue.
Some experts say compulsive shopping is an addiction similar to an eating disorder. People do it out of a false sense to feel good about themselves, to feel in control, and to improve their appearance, especially for women who suffer from overshopping.
Eating and shopping are two of the ways that women, in particular, negotiate the ups and downs of life. So there is a big overlap. Both often have to do with appearance.
Men who are compulsive shoppers tend to do it out of a need to fill a void or to fix themselves. But they tend to buy CDs, books, tools, gadgets, computer items, and cameras, as opposed to women who stick to buying clothes, housewares, jewelry, and makeup.
They tend to use a different frame of reference in shopping. Shopping for women is often a recreational pursuit. For men, they handle it often more like a work pursuit. You know, they know what they want, they go in and they get it. However, men do much more of the quote-unquote collecting, which gives the over-shopping a highbrow, kind of refined cast. And men also do a lot of internet shopping, tremendous amount of internet shopping.
Regardless of gender or whether the compulsive shopping is done at a mall or the internet, it's all about control or a false sense of control.
Control is not racking up credit card debt, not spending so much time, energy, and money shopping and buying that other parts of your life go untended. For example, your family gets neglected, they're about to fire you at work because you're shopping all day on the internet. Those kinds of things.
Okay, Diane, how does one go about assessing whether they have this affliction?
Compulsive shopping is an addiction, just like any other addiction. So they're trying to fulfill a void that they're missing in their life, to feel comfort, kind of like she was speaking about having an eating addiction, and you try to comfort yourself with food, chocolate, sugar. Same thing with shopping. You're feeling a loss, could be depression, sadness, isolation, whatever emotional feeling of loss they're having. So they go out and they do compulsive shopping, feeling a high that they get from it, or euphoria. And then when they're done, they feel a low. They become guilty, shamed, embarrassed from the feelings. And that's part of the addiction. Because you and I, we might go shopping, and we might enjoy it. We go out, we meet friends, it becomes a social, gathering. And then it's done, but we're not chronic and we're not compulsive about it.
Okay, so that goes into my next question.
Sure.
What is the difference between an impulsive buyer and someone with a shopping addiction?
An addiction is chronic. An impulsive buy might be, wow, that's a good deal. I'm going to go and get that today. But somebody who has an addiction to shopping does it chronically, and they also do it again to fulfill a loss and a void. So they're going out because they're depressed and they want to fill that void. Impulsive shopping might be a real need, and you go, wow, that's a great deal. I'm going to get a Christmas present for my children. But you're not chronically doing it, you're not thinking about it constantly, you don't have impulsive behavior with it.
Okay, and are certain personalities more susceptible to this disorder?
And this goes along with that women have this disorder more than men, and not that men can't have it, but we see women typically having this, and we have that trait. Most women do that. We're afraid to say no. We hate hurting other people's feelings. We don't want to put ourselves first. We think selfish is a bad word. So it's that fear of saying no. It's that fear of putting ourselves first, making ourselves a priority. Those are some traits, along with being impulsive as well.
Wow. What are some of the signs, like we talked about, a compulsive buyer, like, oh, there's a sale, let me grab that. Is that teetering on an addiction, or no, that's not what we're talking about
No,
here?
an addiction would be, again, getting a high from shopping. You're feeling a sense of euphoria, you're feeling a sense of relief from your daily problems. If you have an addiction, you go shopping because you are depressed, you are tense, you're anxious, and you do it chronically. So with an addiction, the problem gets worse with time. It's not a once in a while thing. We also have a sense of feeling low afterwards. We went shopping, our high is there, we go home, we feel embarrassed, we have guilt, we have shame, just like any other addiction. If you drank too much, you're gambling, you go home and you have a sense of low, and how am I going to handle this? What am I going to do? You have other signs and symptoms as you're hiding because you know it's going to turn into a problem at home. It could be a financial problem, it could be a marital problem. You start lying because you don't want anybody to see, what you're really doing, so you have to admit you have a problem.
And this problem actually does lead to financial problems for some.
Yes, for a lot of people, I have clients that I've seen go into bankruptcy due to this problem because they can't control their addiction. Because somebody who is a compulsive shopper with an addiction is out of control. They can't control when to stop. They don't have that, do I need or want this? They just buy because they're so impulsive. It's part of their behavior.
Okay, we're going to break here. And when we come back, we'll take a look at the family and social impact of the problem. Stay with us.
Often people would prefer to say that they were alcoholic than a compulsive buyer because of the judgment that we often have about shoppers.